the bump and run, the Bristol move.
That's aggressive, but that's good. Good hard racing. Oh, he puts him out of the groove there.
Oh, man.
Will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside. A drag race. They're sideways. And it's going to be Logano getting the win.
The back end of the 18. Kick out.
Yeah, he got into it right there. Moved him out of the way. Just got the lead.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
Never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
It's the bump and run,
Baby.
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Kyle Busch type of weekend. He was the big winner down in Gateway Worldwide Technology Raceway. I don't know what to call it anymore, but he won.
I call it Gateway.
I call it Gateway too. But he won. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Do all that stuff, fellas. How was your weekend? It was a long, short weekend for me. I feel like got a lot done, but man, was it short. Wish I got some more stuff. How about you guys?
You know what? I think it might be the same because it felt like this weekend just flew by. Then again, you know, I had a charity benefit golf tournament on Saturday that I went to early in the morning that I was there all day for. So that took up pretty much the majority of my Saturday. So I didn't get to see any of the racing on Saturday. And then Sunday, I think with how that panned out, it just made for a long Sunday, but kind of a wait. It feels like I wasted my Sunday. Like my Sunday was just like, it was non-existent because of what and how it all went down. And I think that just made the weekend it was done. It was over. And you're like, what happened there? What, like, I'm missing something. I felt robbed this weekend. So yeah, it was a weird weekend for sure.
You know what's funny? I went back to last week's episode to remind myself who we all picked at the end to do that kind of math and stuff for the show. And I realized that we made the joke that we're going to find where Matt was and tell him the results of the race. Well, I don't know what time the race actually ended, but
I was home already. It was like 9:00.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Matt would have been home. The race was still going on. The bar might have even closed because it's a Sunday. They might have only been open for dinner. Man, was that a long, strange trip, as the Grateful Dead would say. Crazy.
I'll get into how I consumed yesterday's race in a little bit, but it was unique. It was a unique way for me to consume everything that happened yesterday. And same with you guys, what you guys are saying. It was just a long ass weekend. And I was telling you guys before we started is like, I didn't get to catch my breath until pretty much right now as we sit down and do this, you know, just from Friday after work till last night went to bed at 11:30. It was just go. And, you know, I don't mind weekends like that because we got a lot done. You know, it was a fun weekend, but it was just like sometimes you need a weekend from a weekend, if that makes any sense. Yeah. Like almost going back to work sometimes is like the relaxing part.
You can't wait. Yeah, when you can't wait to go to work, you know you need one of those weekends where you don't weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mopped up what you're spilling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm looking forward to? Not next week. Well, not this weekend because Sonoma. The following weekend, it is a off weekend for NASCAR. And I say, boys, we take the podcast off after Sonoma, and we just enjoy the weekend. I'm going to try to slow down that weekend. Just slow
it down. I went through an experience this morning that you guys know about that just made me realize just got to slow down.
But first, we got to get to some NASCAR news. So let's speed up and get this show on the road.
The Bump and Run NASCAR news.
So I only have a couple stories. One of them is a major story that happened in the middle of the week last week. But first, NASCAR Championship Weekend will return to Phoenix in 2024. And if you read any of the comments on social media, why? What do you guys think about Phoenix being our finale race yet again? Matt's shaking his head for the people listening at home and not watching on YouTube. I agree. Why even get into it? We're not a fan of Phoenix. I don't think
we've made our case a million times. I have nothing. I have nothing else to say.
Bring it back to Homestead. That's all I could say. All right, moving on. Massive penalty for Chase Briscoe and Stuart Haas Racing. They have received an L3 penalty for using a counterfeit NACA to feed to the engine panel. So if you don't know what that is, if you don't know what that is, that's one of the underbody panels.
I saw a NACA at the Philadelphia Zoo once.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful exhibit.
That's the thing that moves water across bridges, right?
I think so.
An aqueduct. Anyways, it's a piece on the bottom of the car. It kind of flows air. This was actually a piece that was added to help diffuse some of the heat from the engine underneath the driver. And Stuart Haas Racing just put a whole fake one on there. 3D printed it or something.
I went to the grocery store to pick up some NACA ducks, but they didn't have any, so I had to go to the next one.
I tell you what, I've had NACA duct where it's the chicken and the turkey and the NACA duct all mixed together. You want to know what though?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
That NACA duct, it's real greasy.
I had stuffed NACA duck the other night. This is going to be the show, people, so just stick with us.
Pull those belts tight.
God. We do need a break, boys. we need an off weekend.
Anyways, they completely fabricated and passed off this NACA duct. Stickers and all. They put some fake stickers on there to pass it off like it was legit. They will not appeal. And in fact, crew chief Johnny Klausmeyer fined $25,000 and suspended for 6 weeks. Teams and drivers both lost 125 points each and 25 playoff points. Fellas, what do you think about old Stuart Haas Racing supposedly putting an R&D part on there by accident?
I remember texting about this when it first happened, and I know Matt and I think we're in agreement on it. We kind of like the ballsiness of it. You know what I mean? Like, this is a sport that, like, your car chief, you got to get greasy every once in a while. And, you know, with this next gen car, everything is exactly the same. And the setups and the mind of the car chief and crew chief and what you're going to do, that is kind of the only advantage that you could get over, you know, another team to try to find that speed. And when everyone has the same knowledge, everyone's going the same speed, the racing tends to not be that good. So how do you get better? You got to get a little greasy. And I respect it. I didn't think anyone get that egregious and do something like that, like stickers and all. But, oh, man, like, that was bad. Like, it's bad.
Wasn't Tony calling that race last week, or was that 2 weeks ago?
No, Tony was calling that race.
No, he was calling it.
I wonder if he knew. Like the whole time he knew, and he was watching the 14 run 20th all day, and he's like, we did all that to run 20th.
You know what? Interestingly enough, I do wonder if he knew. I bet you he probably did. So I was listening to the Dale Jr. download a couple weeks ago. I forget who the guest was, but he was a crew chief for many teams. And
Jimmy NACA.
Yeah, it was Jimmy NACA. He was asshole. No, he was actually a crew chief for Austin Dillon at one point. But what was his name?
Bayshore?
No, Slugger LeBay. So
Slugger. Yep.
So Slugger LeBay was telling him he got caught with some sort of piece that they got fined for, and I don't remember if it was for RCR or what, but he said that one he had to pay out of his own pocket as the crew chief because the team itself didn't know of what he did. It was like something with like a cross member or something like that, or some sort of bracing. So I wonder if it's the same type of mentality, like, hey, if a crew chief tries something and the team doesn't know about it, well, then you get in trouble for it. But if the team knows and we say like, oh yeah, push the limits, then it's kind of a wash, and the team will pay.
Which answers the question that I don't think we had this. I don't know, maybe we talked about this on air.
We were just talking about that.
We were just talking about this a few weeks ago. And then listen, if Justin probably knows, Justin or Ray Scrub, anyone who listens to us who knows the answer to this, please comment on the YouTube page. But the question that us three were debating off air, I believe, was when a crew chief gets fined, let's say in this case, what was it, $250,000?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. That's a ton of money. So, like a ton of money. These guys aren't getting paid. Some of them are getting paid millions of dollars, but a lot of them, their salary isn't even $1 million a year. So for, let's just say, a quarter of a salary to be ripped away from you just like that, like that's got to be pretty detrimental to you. So like, how does that, do the crew chiefs really pay that? Or like, does the team take care of that? Like, how does that work? So if anybody listening actually knows the concrete answer to that, please let us know, because I'm super interested in that.
Yeah, like if that guy said he paid it out of his pocket, did he really, or is he just saying that he paid it out of his pocket? You know what I mean? Like,
Slugger?
I don't know. Like,
yeah, no, he said he had to pay it out of his pocket, and it was a big hit, and his
saying,
wife
like,
was.
Did he really? You know what I mean? Because like what we're saying is like, yeah, he said he paid out of pocket.
How do you get that chunk of money?
The team didn't know. I mean, maybe that's how it's based. Maybe if you try something on your own and you try to slip it in there as like, I might be able to get away with this without, Rick Hendrick or anyone knowing that you're doing
like the competition director or whoever.
Hey, this is on you now, but how does that work?
Yeah, can you put it
relationship after that? You know what I mean? Like, oh, here, if I'm Rick Hendrick and I make my crew chief pay $250,000 knowing that he makes only what he makes, and you're Rick Hendrick, like, there's no way I think these crew chiefs are paying out of pocket. I don't know.
Like, think about it. If let's just say that a crew chief makes $1 million and he gets $100,000 fine slapped on him, dude, that's 10% of his salary for the year gone. Like, I don't know about you guys, but if 10% of my salary just got taken away from me because of something like that, like that would set me back. Like that wouldn't be cool. You know, as most people I'm assuming are like that. So I don't know. I just thought, huh?
And you're going on the high end.
I'm going on the high end. Right.
No, I'm assuming it's a case by case type of basis. Probably depends on like the competition director. Did they know about it? You know, that kind of stuff. And at the same time, it's like, oh man, can I put it on a payment plan? Like, yo, you guys got me. Like, just take a little bit out of every paycheck until we're squared away. You know, make it like a little fine fund that gets automatically pulled out of your direct deposit every 2 weeks, where it's like, oh yeah, normally I make like whatever, you know, but this paycheck's a little light. They took 10% off the top, you know, until you pay your fine.
I will say, like, it is kind of sad that you do something like that egregious, that bold, that greasy, and you're in the back getting passed by like Chandler Smith in like a call-it car, and it's his like fourth race of the season. You know what I mean? Like, at least run good if you're going to try to get an advantage. Like, I wonder if that was like a work in progress, because I think this is happening more than we think. It's the random selection of like, if you just get selected that week, like that's where you get caught. I think more teams are doing it and just lucking out by not getting chosen to go back to R&D. Like,
it's not random. That's been a common misnomer. Like they select the cars that they want to take back. We always thought, I think it was maybe Door Bumper Clear, or maybe even one of the
I think it was Bob Cockris.
Dalton Sawyer even said, like, it's not random. Like, we pick what cars we want to take back.
Yeah, they randomly choose to take you that week. You know
what I mean? It's still a lucky thing to like. If you get, how many teams? More teams are getting away with it than teams are getting caught. I think,
for sure.
They only take what, 4 to 6 cars back?
It depends.
And like at the same time too, like, does someone leave a little tip like, yo, I heard Stuart Haas is doing this. You might want to take one of those cars back. You know, that type of shit.
Oh, there's definitely some people in the garage for sure.
Yeah.
But you want to what? I'm kind of with you guys. Like, congratulations for trying. Like, I wonder how long it's been on there too. You know, like one of those deals. And I wonder how many other teams might have some counterfeit parts on their cars, and maybe now they're pulling those off their cars because they don't want to get caught too and slapped with an L3 penalty. But that's. Do you want to go to the next news story? I feel like.
Yeah, we got that done.
All right. Tommy Hatcher, the pit crew member for Eric Jones, he was released from the hospital last night. He's currently on concussion protocol. That's the only update I saw. I'm not exactly sure on the rest of his well-being, but it seems like he is okay. I know that was a scary
Was there
moment.
video of that released yet? Like nobody caught that anywhere? There's nothing?
No, I haven't
guess
seen a
he, like,
video.
tripped over the other crew member and he like went head first into the car, I guess, and like kind of like the Austin Dillon, they figured out he didn't hit the guy. He actually tripped over another one of his crew members, and I guess he went head first and
He tripped out in front of the car. Oh,
in front of the
Jesus
car, yeah.
Christ.
That's scary. That's
so that's
really
why
scary.
they thought Austin Dillon might have clipped him on his way in or out of the box, but it ended up like, I guess, another angle of the video, wherever it was. I didn't see a video of it. You're right, Matt, but I guess he's fine. He's awake and like Whitey said, in concussion protocol.
Yeah, and I didn't see a video. I wonder if they'll even release a video because like it wasn't caught on the NASCAR broadcast. So like I know they do all have cameras in those pit boxes. They could easily show us the video, but like why would you want to? You know what I mean? Like let the guy kind of recover in peace.
This is where I wanted to go in how I consume that race. So I'll try to make a long story short. I had a graduation party last night that went from 5 to 8. So I recorded the race, shut my phone off so I wouldn't get spoiled or anything like that. Got home, avoided all the spoilers, right? So my wife is in our fantasy racing league with us. And so she was checking that. And as we got home, it was like 8:30. And she was like, oh, the race is still going on. I'm like, what? Like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Because I was checking the weather beforehand too for St. Louis and it was fine. So I was like, what? Like, anyway. And then she was like, I made a joke like, Jesus, I hope someone didn't die during the race and they had a posit or something. Cause it was on like, it was a red flag when she checked.
Yeah.
And I was just joking. Like I shouldn't joke, but I was just joking. So she jumped on Twitter and she was like looking and she was like, oh my God, one of Eric Jones' crew members got hit by a car on pit road. And this is as I just started watching the
race. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? So every pit stop that happened, I was like watching, like wasn't paying attention to anything, but like I was watching like down the line, like where's Eric Jones? And I couldn't every pit stop because I didn't know which one it happened on. And then finally I get to the one that it happened on. It was so anticlimactic because they just mentioned it.
Yeah.
There was no video of it.
And showing ambulance in a stretcher. That was it.
Here I'm thinking it was a situation like DeMar Hamlin with the Buffalo Bills where something seriously scary happened and they had to stop the race. So that's how I consumed a lot of the race yesterday.
Just waiting, yeah.
I didn't have an enjoyable experience watching the replay last night.
Did you guys ever see Hot Tub Time Machine?
Yes. Love it.
The character that's missing his hand, they keep waiting to see how he loses it. That was you yesterday watching that race.
Yeah. How's it gonna happen? Like I seriously thought I was like waiting for a DeMar, because keep in mind I still had my phone off because I didn't want to like get anything spoiled. Right. So like I had no way of knowing what the hell happened. And here I'm thinking like I can't concentrate on this race because at some point during this race, the DeMar Hamlin situation unfolded. But obviously that I overblew it.
All right. Well, I'm glad. Do you want to explain the rest of how you watched the race and how?
Yeah. So
the ending?
I go through all that nonsense of keeping the phone off and everything, and I'm watching the recording, and so I get past the point where like, okay, it wasn't that bad. He's going to be fine. And I'm watching the race. 42 laps to go. Recording ends. I get that whole way. The recording ended because of the delays and all that happened. I didn't account for enough time. I added an hour onto the end of the recording to give myself time, but I didn't add like the 3 additional hours that I needed. So I ended up just going upstairs. It was like 11:30 at night. Like I was stayed up for no reason, didn't get to watch the end of the race, went upstairs and just sat in bed staring at the ceiling. Like, I turned my phone on so I could find out who won and I just went to bed. I was defeated. I was a defeated man yesterday. I'm a defeated man today.
Well, I'm sorry. Well,
you're not the only one. I'll tell you that.
No. You guys had to. That's why I couldn't wait to record tonight because you guys had to sit through all that.
We endured
in real time. So like, I can't wait to get to to the race grades and the checkers and wreckers, because I don't really know how you guys consume that, but it had to have been, it might have been probably worse than the way I consumed it.
Well, me and Eric endured all 6 and 7 hours of the broadcast. I took a nap during the lightning delays and whatnot, so I was fresh for the rest of the race. But I want to get into NASCAR history. It's the first NASCAR history of the season. It's been a while since I had an interesting story to tell on a Monday. But Matt, who won the race yesterday on June 4th?
Don't know. Didn't see it.
All right, Eric, who won the race?
No, Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch won.
Kyle Busch won at Gateway, running for Richard Childress Racing on June 4th, which so happens to be the anniversary of the scuffle with Richard Childress at Kansas. Famous story, if you don't know. Kyle Busch, I believe he was running a Truck Series race. He got into it with one of the Dillon boys when they were racing in their Truck Series career. And old RC, he didn't like how Kyle Busch treated his equipment. I believe he wrecked one of the Dillon boys, and well, old RC took his Rolex off and he popped Kyle Busch in the face. Later on, Richard Childress would be fined $150,000, and about 12 years later, to the day, Kyle Busch would win for one Richard Childress Racing in the number 8 car.
The famous quote, "Hold my watch."
Hold my watch. If you watch NASCAR enough, you realize that time is just a circle, and the story's finishing all the time. But I thought that was an interesting NASCAR history for the week. Haven't done one in a long time. But fellas, let's jump right into the race weekend. We had a triple header. We had Trucks and Cup in Gateway, and we had Xfinity in Portland, Oregon. Your truck winner was Grant Enfinger. I believe that's his second win of the season. Did you guys get a chance to check out any of the Truck Series race? Me either. I listened to a little bit of it, of the MRM broadcast. I actually heard when Grant Enfinger took the lead and got the win. And then, of course, Xfinity on the road course in Portland. Cole Custer would get his first win back in the Xfinity Series full-time after Justin Allgaier, I believe he wrecked Sheldon Creed at the end, right? That was another one I was listening to the MRM broadcast. You guys see any of that?
I didn't get to see the Xfinity race either. No. Hey, was there a fight?
I don't think so. If anything, so John Hunter Nemechek took out Sheldon Creed at the end of stage 2. I heard that on the MRN broadcast. And then I think Sheldon Creed took out John Hunter Nemechek later on. There was a conversation afterwards, but they fist bumped and left.
Jeb Smith.
There was
Jeb Burton and Chandler Smith, right?
Yeah, I think they got
because I saw them cut up a video of it.
Yeah, they got into it. I'm not exactly sure what the context was. I'm gonna be honest with you though. Jeb Burton was talking a whole lot of shit on social media of how he handled it with fists, and then Chandler Smith cut up a video and put it on there. We'll retweet this on the Twitter page if you want to check it out. But basically Jeb missed and punched air, and it was kind of sad for him, to be honest with you. I don't know how I feel about that, to be honest with you guys. I feel like Jeb Burton's always kind of in some shit, and he doesn't really back it up on the track. So like, I don't know. I'm kind of over Jeb Burton, if that makes sense. I couldn't care less about what he's doing.
I like Jeb because I like his dad. His dad, Ward Burton's out there grabbing snakes and wrangling snakes out in barns and shit. And so I always figured like, oh, Jeb's just like this big old country boy who's not to be trifled with. But like, you're right. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't be afraid to step to him if I had to.
No.
Something on the racetrack first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, we had a cup race. We all saw most of it. Kyle Busch led 4 times for 121 laps. It lasted 3 hours, 28 minutes and 16 seconds, and I felt every second of it. 11 cautions for 67 laps, 10 lead changes among 5 different drivers. Your top 5, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, and Martin Truex Jr. Fellas, let's jump into the race grades.
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
And let's start with Eric this week. Eric, what'd you give the race?
I gave it a C. It was a weird race. I was trying to get into it, and every time you tried to get into it, something weird would happen. And when I mean weird, like the internet went out and the cars had no data, and like the box broadcast went out. Ton of cautions, red flags, lightning in the area. It was a 2-hour, delay to the start of the race. And it was just Michael Waltrip lost his phone on the racetrack, and they ran a lap and a half with it on the racetrack. Like
what?
Yeah,
you missed that part.
Dude, I fast forwarded through a lot of like the yellow flags and stuff because it was getting late, and I must have missed that.
Yeah, Mikey was doing like his pit thing, and he had to hurry up, and he was running, and he hopped over the wall. And as he hopped over the wall, his phone flew out of his coat.
Was there video of it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They found it. Yep.
I gotta find it.
They were busting them in the booth. They were like, going back and forth about it. So yeah, just a weird overall race. And I feel like this race could have been a B+.
Yeah.
If you take away all of the weirdness that happened, you take away the delay to start, it would have tightened everything up a little bit for me, at least. I think there were spurts of, excitement where you knew, okay, someone's taking 2 tires, this versus 4 tires. And there was a little bit of strategy and, the way Kyle Busch started finding, the grip up top and, there was different lanes, I guess, ways to go around the racetrack. But, man, the red flags in between and the cautions just delaying everything. It seemed to break it up, and you had to try to get back into the race.
Yeah.
And every time that you start and stop. It was I think the whole thing didn't do it justice. I think we would have, if all of those things I just said didn't happen and we just got a normal race like we would on a Sunday.
Yeah.
I think I might have consumed it better. I think like Denny Hamlin even said his car was set up to run in the hot and in the sun 2 hours earlier. And he said like they probably would have had a way better car in that time frame, but then it gets shady, cloudy, the track cools down, and that had a big effect on it. So it was a lot of weird circumstances that I think threw a bunch of wrenches into how I think the race potentially could have turned out.
Yeah. How about you, Matt? Do you have a race grade at all or no?
So sorry, I was listening, Eric. I was watching the video of Mikey losing his phone. That's crazy because you're right. What was the race? Was it earlier this year or last year that we just had a bizarre ass race? Remember
it was within, it might have been last year too, where it's like, what is going on? Like like Matt, you said it perfect. You're like, it felt like it was a race that you would have in a dream, like where it's just like random people, like it wasn't.
Mikey lost his phone on the track. Like that's like something that would happen in a dream. Like you're watching a race. Right. Yeah, and so Mike, when the recording started, there was smoke coming off the side of they were doing the pace laps. And there was smoke coming off the side of the track from like outside the track on the backstretch. I'm like, did a car catch on fire? It was from the fireworks.
Yeah.
It was just like bizarre. Like there was a million little bizarre things that happened. So sorry to answer your question, Whitey. I gave it an I for incomplete, and I know that sounds like a cop out, but I felt like it wouldn't be fair for me to try to give this race a grade because just like I said, the way I consumed it. A million different things were going through my mind. I couldn't give the grade a good or bad grade, whatever it deserved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll be honest, like I was enjoying like the racing that I saw, like a B minus type of race I was watching, but I didn't get to complete the race. I had the thought of like something bad happening to a crew member on my mind. So that really soured the way I was watching it. And I don't know. I don't think it would be fair for me to give it a race grade.
I don't think Gateway. I don't think you could even just in general grade this fairly for them. I almost feel bad for them and how this turned out for that racetrack and that race. Like they almost Like, it's like they came out of there like, oh man, we didn't get to show what this
you have to
racetrack is
offer.
capable of. And like, it's almost right, Matt. I almost feel like I can't even grade it, even though I watched it, just because of the circumstances. That's not what Gateway is. And that's not the racing you would normally get. So you are right. It's hard to determine that, and especially when the best racing was in 16th to 20th. That's where the battles were.
Go back to last year too. Like the story, like we didn't pay attention to the entire race last year because we were always waiting to
Denny
see
and
the
Ross.
cutaway to Ross and Denny fighting it out. And like that's what we were always like, just stop showing the race, show what they're doing every time they run by each other. And so like last year's race got hijacked from that. This year's race got hijacked by like 10 different things.
Yeah.
Just super unfair shakedown. But that's what happens when you mess with Pocono.
Yep. The Suskin Screamer got him, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, our local lore Suskin Screamer cursed Gateway. No, Matt, I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring it up also. Like, I feel like Gateway hasn't gotten a fair shake yet. Just because last year, again, all eyes were on Denny and Ross duking it out and slowing each other down and messing with each other. And then this year, yeah, just all the weirdness. But at the same time, it does hurt a little bit that this was supposed to be a
I said to these
weekend.
guys, so for anyone who the uninitiated, we're from the our home track is Pocono. It's 40 minutes from where we live. And this weekend, the first weekend in June, traditionally every year, Eric and I and the group of us would be loaded up and going up to Pocono for the first round. And that date got taken away for Gateway. And so to sit here and tell you guys that I'm not a little bit petty and a little bit sour towards Gateway, I'd be lying like I am. But it didn't take away, like I didn't let that affect the way I watched the race yesterday. I let everything else happen affect the way I watched the race yesterday.
You know what, too? It would have been a perfect weather weekend.
It would have been amazing.
And I was actually thinking about it yesterday as I was watching. I'm like, man, this race is kind of boring. But people would say Pocono is boring too. So like, I guess I can't complain too much. You know what I mean? But I also gave it a C-. And kind of like you guys, I don't know if it was the lightning delay, the red flags, or all the cautions, but I couldn't really get into the rhythm of the race. The first couple stages were pretty good. Long green flag runs, but we didn't really get the strategy that comes with long green flag runs. Like I didn't notice any tire fall off, which is surprising because they did bring a softer tire, but I don't think they were running the short track package with less downforce either. So I think maybe that kind of contributed a little bit to it. But it was just strange one, kind of long drawn out runs. We did see some varying tire strategies, but we didn't get to see if it would work out in stage 3 because of all the cautions, you know, like it really was a caution fest at the end there too. I mean, 11 cautions, 67 laps. I think it was only a 240 lap race, right? So supposed to be a shorter race, ended up taking just as long as the Coke 600 last week. So I think that's why I gave it a C-. But like Eric and kind of like you, Matt, I feel like it could have been a B, even a B+, depending if the conditions were a little bit better, you know, if it stayed hotter longer. I know it was a bear for the fans in the stands. It was really hot out. But like Eric said, the cars were set up for the heat, you know, stuff like that. So it just kind of sucks that we haven't been able to really see what Gateway has to offer us yet.
Yeah, you can't judge it. Like, how do you like? I like even the last year, like you can't really look back at that and be like, okay, I got a good sample of what this race is going to be. You know, when you're looking at the schedule and you're looking at the races coming up, it was nothing like, oh, like there's Gateway, like. You know, I know what I'm going to get out of this race. So I thought maybe this year was a good opportunity to see if they hit the mark with putting Gateway on the schedule. And once again, you know, you can't judge, you know, what kind of product you're going to get from what we saw. You know, the brake rotor issue was a huge one. And, you know, that was a lot of like there was the cycles that it was going through with those delays.
Yeah.
The brake rotors were just cooling off and heating up and cooling off and heating up and cooling off and heating up. And that's just not good. And then you get the blowouts like you had. So it was just weird overall. And, you know, yeah, like next year, it's like, oh, well, you still don't know what you're going to get out of Gateway. So
Denny even said, he's like, we had our car set up for a hot day. Like it was supposed to be 95 degrees. He said like, if we ran when we were supposed to, and it was 95 degrees, we would have won that race.
Yeah.
That's the car we had set up. And then like all the changes, like I said, I checked the radar all weekend, like I do for every race. And I was like, oh, we don't have to worry about weather. So that's good at least. And I was super surprised that there was a lightning delay.
Yeah, and that many strikes too, where it lasted like an hour and a half. I thought because the storm was moving away. That was the whole deal. It was moving away. It was just stayed in the area a little too long, and really killed the momentum of the beginning of the race. But you guys want to jump into the checkers and wreckers?
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right. Since we started with Eric for the race grades, Matt, do you have a checkers and wreckers?
So I do, yes, actually. So I was it's kind of, my checkers is kind of split. So I want to give it to the fans because we've all been there before. We know how it is, waiting out delays and things of that nature, and it sucks. But they showed up, and for the 3rd or 4th straight week in NASCAR, it was sold out. So like we always say, we always want to point that out when we can because it proves that our sport is thriving. But my real checkers goes to another pit road incident that happened. AJ Rossini is Denny Hamlin's front tire changer. Had to get 8 to 12 stitches in his lip area during a red flag after the air hose apparently kicked back and hit his face. So I know hockey players, and listen, we're all hockey fans, love hockey, but they always get the rep of being the tough guys who get stitched up and get right back out there. But so do these pit crew guys. And so I just want to give a shout out to that guy. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great checkers, and good on him for continuing. Because like, I know I'd be a big baby. I'd be like, yo, I gotta go to the infield care center. Sorry, I'll see you guys next week. How about your wreckers?
My wreckers goes to Mr. H.
Okay.
So if you pay any type of attention to our podcast, which I hope you do, you know that we are anti Corey LaJoie. I'm sure the person's fine. I'm sure he's a good dude. I'm sure he's funny and fun to be around and yada, 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 yada. But all we've heard out of his mouth is put me in good equipment and I could run with these guys. Put me in good equipment and I could be as good as these guys. Well, Corey, you got your shot and you failed miserably. You ran in 27th all day. And the reason why I'm wrecking Mr. Hendrick is because I'm sure sponsorship had a lot to say with who got that ultimate seat replacement over Chase Elliott this weekend, but it's Mr. H's equipment, and he's the final gatekeeper in that decision. And he must have seen enough to say, okay, Corey LaJoie is the guy that I want running my equipment, and Corey LaJoie ran like Corey LaJoie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, Josh Berry came in, and the first stage or two that he was ever in a cup car, he struggled, but then he eventually got up into the teens and had good runs and got better and better and better, where Corey LaJoie has been running this cup car, this next gen cup car, as long as anybody else has, right? Because he's been a full timer as long as anybody else has. So you would think that the adjustment there doesn't really need to be so drastic, where like a Josh Berry or a Carson Hocevar would have to make. And he just didn't do anything. And it's not like there was a malfunction in the car or anything like that, because in his post-race interview, he was defeated. He blamed himself and he just thought he would do better. And there was I'll give him the props that he didn't blame it on anything. He just said he has to be better. But it wasn't it. Corey LaJoie ain't it.
So I
agree. It's just at this point, at one point during our podcast, like you said, Matt, we had to just be like, okay, we're done like dissing and talking about Corey LaJoie. Like it wasn't just him that was saying like, oh, give me that shot. Then other people in the NASCAR world, like prominent people in the NASCAR world, were vouching for him, saying like, yeah, Corey should get this opportunity. Oh, of course. And it wasn't just him. It's like, what are they seeing? What, even in the broadcast, they're like, oh, Corey's running good in that 7 car today. Will we get a shot? And it's like, dude, oh my, here it is. And I don't know, in a way, I never want to be, happy to see someone run bad and not have their dream come true in their opportunity that they have. But, it just, it was he tripped over his own feet and fell flat on his face in front of everybody. And after all that talking and all the backing up by those people, he laid a big old egg.
And again, like, we're not the guys who are saying, like, you know, Corey LaJoie sucks. No, he's one of the top 40 best stock car drivers in the entire world. You know, he's elite at what he does, as is everybody else who races on Sundays. But, you know, we are a podcast by the fans, for the fans. We're giving our opinions that I'm assuming a lot of fans have. So we're not trying to, like, Monday morning quarterback couch this thing, or what the hell's the saying there?
Monday morning quarterback.
Boom. Couch racer. That's what I had. I combined the two. It's been a long weekend. We're not trying to Monday morning quarterback this. Like, I understand the guy is elite at what he does, but when you keep saying, give me an opportunity, and I promise I can show what I have, and then other people are vouching for you, and here we are saying, like, are we blind? Like, what are we missing? And then we're proven right. Again, like Eric said, I'm not happy that we were proven right. I would have liked to see him do well, especially because I'm a number 9 fan. I'm a Chase Elliott fan. I would have liked to see that car do well. He just didn't do well, and it sucked to see.
But I feel like we were second guessing ourselves too. Like, are we just hating on him, or why are we seeing it? You know, is it us? And like, we were almost kind of like second guessing ourselves in our opinion. And, you know, I think we turned a leaf and we're kind of like turned into like, okay, we're pro Corey LaJoie in a way. Like, the 7 car has a couple good runs, but I think we were validated here.
Yeah. So, I want to give a little bit of backstory too, because this is a personal conversation the three of us have been having for like 3 seasons now about Corey LaJoie, and it all stems from his just personality. You know, he does his podcast stuff. He has a great personality. I think he's great for the sport and everything. But like Matt said, he's always talking about like, oh, if I have this opportunity. And I never understood why, probably because I didn't know enough about Corey LaJoie. So about a couple months ago, I started doing research on Corey LaJoie because I wanted to make a YouTube video. Does Corey LaJoie really need a shot or not? Like, that was just the idea. So like I start doing research, and I figured out why everyone is so high on Corey LaJoie. Because like Eric said, you know, when Chase broke his leg, before they replaced him with Josh Berry, everyone's like, give Corey LaJoie a chance. Mm-hmm. Big media personalities, Dave Moody, Jack Arute, people that have been in the sport forever kept talking about, even Dale Jr. Oh, if we gave Corey
Dale
LaJoie.
Jr. is a huge Corey LaJoie proponent. I think I know where you're going with this too, as to why everyone was doing this.
Yeah, so he gave him, there's a lot of people backing Corey LaJoie. In my mind, I never really saw the talent. I never really saw him overdriving his car or outperforming his equipment. But then I started doing some research. And in 2012, he was running the K&N East Series. I believe it was the East, right? Yeah, K&N Pro Series East. He came in second in the points. The winner of the championship that year was Kyle Larson, and he only beat him by 14 points, right? Corey LaJoie had 5 wins that season. Kyle Larson only had 2 wins. Now, in this same K&N East season, we had Brett Moffitt, who, you know, he's run Cup Series in the past, ran trucks, Xfinity. He's done it all. I believe he has a Truck Series championship, if I'm not mistaken. He finished 3rd in that series. Chase Elliott, he won a race that season. He finished 4th. Bubba Wallace won a race that season. He finished 7th. Let's see. Daniel Suarez ran in that series part-time. He finished like 16th or so. So a lot of stars, including Ryan Blaney, he ran in that season. A lot of the current Cup Series stars who are running in good equipment and consistently getting wins came up with Corey LaJoie, and Corey LaJoie was just as good, if not better, than a lot of those guys in the K&N East Series. And that's my problem. You can't go by K&N because not only was that a decade ago, now you have guys who have, gone through trucks, gone through Xfinity, gone through years and years of Cup, not only in
gone through puberty.
Yeah, gone through puberty. Not only actually Tyler Reddick made his first K&N East start on the last race. He actually won the last race of that season. I think he was like 16 years old or something like that. So you have all these guys that Corey LaJoie came up with. And they've been doing a really great job. And in Corey LaJoie's head, he's like, I'm just as good as these guys. I was beating them back in the day on the short tracks, or not short track racing anymore. It's the NASCAR Cup Series. There's a bit of a difference. And so now Corey LaJoie gets this opportunity. And so then I was curious, well, how did Josh Berry do in his first race in the 9 car? Because Josh Berry also didn't have a great finish. Josh Berry finished, I believe, 29th at Las Vegas. So now I'm starting to look at it. I'm like, all right, well, can we really blame Corey LaJoie? He finished better than Josh Berry did in his first start. He finished 21st at Gateway. I think that's pretty respectable. When you think about it, though, he spent most of his day running 30th. I looked up why
his average running position was 27th yesterday.
Yeah. I looked up why Josh Berry came in. Was it?
Yeah,
20?
He had a problem.
He did. He had an issue with his throttle, and he finished 2 laps down. So that is another contributing factor. Corey LaJoie was on the lead lap all day long, and then you watch that 7 Spire car running not up front, but mid pack with Carson Hocevar, who's also making his first Cup Series start. Now you start wondering, Corey LaJoie, are you hurting your own chances at a future Cup ride by asking for this opportunity? Because now, if I'm looking at you run mid-pack, or a truck driver run mid-pack in your car, why the hell would I bring Corey LaJoie back next season?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's not only he's looking for a Cup ride, he might not even get his ride back in the 7 car. Like he's looking to jump in someone else's car when, buddy, you just saw Carson Hocevar and Whitey. Like, I get you. Oh, Josh Berry. That's not a good comparison because Corey LaJoie's been full time in this car. Josh Berry hasn't.
Yeah.
So, like,
oh yeah,
right then and there, Corey LaJoie should have an advantage over Josh Berry tremendously, and he didn't. So, like, I agree. I think this hurt Corey LaJoie more than it helped him. This decision that Mr. H, he made this weekend. And, I don't blame him for taking the opportunity. I think he knew he had to take it when he had to take it. But, man, and it was, you brought up if he's racing the K&N at these short tracks too, Gateways, that's a 1.25 mile track. Like that
should be in your wheelhouse.
Should be in your wheelhouse. You know what I mean? As far as, you're not going somewhere, but I don't know. It was just, I don't think he did himself any good here.
Corey's dad, Randy, cut his teeth in the Xfinity, Busch series back then. He made his name in the Busch series, and he ran, I think, like 350 or something odd races in the Busch series, a lot more than he ran in the Cup series. And maybe, we've talked about this before with other drivers, and there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe the Cup Series just isn't for Corey, and he could go down and do what Justin Allgaier does and just perform in the Xfinity Series and go and spend a couple of years down there, maybe regain some knowledge and just learn again, maybe hit the reset button. And maybe that's what he could do. If Dale Jr. likes Corey so much, he's losing a driver in Josh Berry to the Cup Series next year. Maybe bring Corey down into Junior Motorsports, run him full time down there, and give him a second opportunity again.
Right, and in that Junior Motorsports car, everybody wins in that. Gragson dominated in that. Berry dominated in that. So if you don't go down there as Corey LaJoie and dominate in that car like the previous drivers that were in there before you, then I think that's an official statement that he ain't it. But I agree. I think that would be a stellar move.
Yeah,
your confidence back too a little bit by winning in Xfinity. Like we talked about it, like you said, Matt, John Hunter and the likes of that. Like we see, hey, I don't think Matt DiBenedetto is who anyone thought he was. He's he's down in the Truck Series. He's not making waves and splashes and winning every other week down there. So it's cutthroat. This sport is hard. There's only so many rides and so many seats. And if you don't rise to the occasion and start winning and do what you have to do, then you're gonna be out quick.
I would love to see LaJoie run a junior motorsports car. The only thing is, like, most of those guys are paid guys. I don't know how much funding Corey LaJoie actually brings with him and stuff. And my whole thing I'm thinking is, like, maybe this is the thing Corey needs to go, all right, well, just be appreciative of what you have. You know, just
I'm full-time Cup Series driver every week, running 20th, 21st. I'll take that.
Because
every week I'm a Cup Series driver. Just be fine with that.
Making a hell of a living doing it.
Because you want to what? I feel like we don't dog a lot of the back marker guys. We dog, like, you know, Cody Ware, who, you know, he deserved to be dogged on. I don't think we dog on Corey LaJoie at all. You know, there's nothing wrong with
just being fair. We call it like we see it, like we do anything else.
But that's what I'm saying. There's nothing.
Give props when he does well and he runs well. You know what I mean? And when he does bad, we do that with any driver. You know, look at Ricky Stenhouse. You know what I mean? Like, hey, he's having a hell of a year, and we'll praise him when he does well. And Matt, you're right. This is our opinions. This is what we see, and we're gonna call it as we see.
But all I was gonna say is, like, there's nothing wrong with riding in the back and being a back marker driver. You're still out on the track. You're still competing, and you're racing your race. You know, a lot of times those storylines don't really get talked about, but those guys are battling for, you know, 30th and 28th and 27th because that's more funding that they could take. That's more in winnings that they could take back and put back into the team, you know, and even Spire's put a lot more money into their equipment this season. And we've seen it with flashes with Corey LaJoie, where he's been running up front of Atlanta or these other tracks where, you know, for a while he was finishing in the top 20 pretty consistently. And that's all you can really ask for, is to overperform that equipment, you know?
I just think it's so weird. Sorry, go ahead, Whitey.
No, I'm just saying, like, can we really judge it off one start? No, you know, but at the same time, that might have been his one shot, and that's all we can judge it on, you know? So I don't know. What were you going to say, Eric?
Well, that's the thing. Like, oh, you get that one shot. Like I said, I don't blame him for that one shot, that one opportunity. You take that when it's there, but as you were talking about him and the way he was running and the funding in that 7 car, it almost seems to me he ruined that momentum that he had over there. He was actually running decent. I think 18th in points. He's up there in points. He might be in the top 20 in points. Like, he's had a good year in that 7 car. And to me, I think he kind of just, like, he's always looking forward to that ride. He's not looking at what he was in, like you're saying, Whitey. Like, appreciate what you're doing with Spire. Like, how I want with EJ to bring that 43 car back. Have a little bit of self-pride of, like, saying, hey, you know what? I'm running well in the 7 car. They're giving me funding. They believe in me. Stick with them. And I don't know, to me, going and jumping to that 9 and doing what he did there and letting someone else take that, you know, that 7 car that you were running well with all year, it just makes a mess of the whole situation to me. So I get it, but man, this is just not his week.
Yeah, LaJoie running 21st in points, which is super not even respectable. That's super impressive for a guy that finished 30th in points or 31st in points last year. So that just goes to show you, he has the talent to be in the Cup Series. Maybe you just don't have the elite talent that top car needs, you know?
But I think maybe his focus was always on that other ride, better equipment, instead of just focusing on his craft in the car he's in, is where I'm getting at. Like, his mind and mentality is never in the car in the moment. It's always, man, as he goes by, you know, that 9 car, oh, I should have had that opportunity. Or as he goes by Barry in the 48, man, why is he getting that shot? I think he's always thinking ahead and like you said, dwelling on the past and not realizing what he has in front of him. And I think maybe now this could be the shakeup, like Matt is saying, where, hey, okay, I had that. It went the way it went, but I'm also running well here. I had that opportunity. Maybe he could, like you said, that's a fresh start for him. Clean that monkey off of his back, trying to keep up with the likes of the Larsons, the Blaneys and the Elliots of the world that he came up with, and say, you know what? Let me just appreciate where I'm at now. And maybe he'll get better doing that. He'll clear that bad, that black cloud that's been following him. So
He'll rid himself of the knack of ducks that's been following him around.
Yeah, yeah.
big pack of them, just
Tagging and nagging ducks. Anyways, Eric, what's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
My checkers goes to Kenny Wallace and Michael Waltrip in the booth, man.
Yeah.
That pairing, I love Michael Waltrip in the booth. I just thought he was excellent.
Yeah.
He was excellent. And Kenny, he just brought that enthusiasm, and he knew the race wasn't going well. He knew that. And so he basically was getting excited for the little things that we know to look for when the racing up front might not be there. You change your mentality. And he was showing that to the fan out there, what to look at when the racing isn't there. You could watch this. You could watch that. This is why the racing isn't bad. And he was just so perfect at keeping the fan in tune with the race, keeping the fan excited. Even if it wasn't that excited, he makes it exciting by the tone of his voice, the way he does it. You could tell he loves racing, and racing is what he cares about. Same with Mikey. Mikey, his enthusiasm, his calls, he's been around there. He knows how to handle the booth. And
Sneaky funny too, without trying to be, without forcing it.
Yeah.
Those guys I thought they absolutely killed it. And they made that race and for how long it was, they did a great job at keeping me into the race and keeping me, like Matt said, you giggle here and there, the little things that they had back and forth. And, I love the honesty of Kenny. Not a lot of people on there. Clint seems to be one to toe the company line, it seems, where he knows what to do and throttles back. And Kenny, he called out Corey LaJoie. I loved it. He's like, well, Corey, you talked all this talk and, here's your shot and you're running 27th. What are you doing? You got to get up there, pedal down.
There was a moment, I think it was right when Kenny Wallace got into the booth. And if you follow Kenny, all three of us follow Kenny Wallace on social media. He's a high energy dude. And he'll say, I don't know what's about to come out of my mouth, so you got to forgive me.
Yeah.
And then he'll just go. He got into that booth and he was like, oh yeah, he was like, I'm proud to be here with my buddy Michael Waltrip and my buddy Clint and my buddy Mike LaJoy instead of Mike Joy. I don't know if you guys picked that up.
I did it.
And Mike Joy looks at the camera and he just goes, and it was just I didn't have my phone on yet, so I forgot to bring that up with you guys. But it was I'm gonna see if I can find the clip, and if I can, I'll retweet it off of our page. But it was a funny little thing that just it happened, and the world kept moving, and I was dying laughing at it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kenny Wallace's personality. He and you want to know what? I don't think he's faking it either. He's always looking for the positive and stuff, and he brought that positivity to the booth, like Eric said. It's easy to take kind of a boring race and dogpile on it, kind of like what Clint Boyer did to North Wilkesboro a couple weeks ago. And
I found it. I found it.
Nice, and they didn't do that at all. I think they did a great job keeping everyone engaged too. I wish Kenny was in the booth full time. I really do. I think he was great.
It's that energy you get, from Matt? Who's that guy you love in the Xfinity series? I'm having a brain.
Adam Alexander, dude.
Yeah, it's natural excitement to just be there, to just call that race. It seems like when they get some of these drivers, it's like, oh, this is just another job they have to do. They don't want to be there. They're doing it because they can't be in the car anymore. Like Kenny and the likes of Michael, they want to be there calling that race, and you could tell. It was just. I've
always said I know Michael Waltrip is a polarizing figure in the NASCAR community. He does the grid walk, which is a little wacky or whatever, but him in the boot, I love Mikey Waltrip. The documentary he did about Dale dying and all that, really kind of won me over with Mikey, and they explained why Mikey is Mikey.
Yeah,
and I love that guy. And I think he brings that energy that I think we kind of crave in the booth. I mean, he does a great job with the truck series.
Yeah, I know a lot of people dog him, especially the grid walk too. I'm with you. I think he does such a good job. I wish he would stop doing the grid walk because I feel like he would gain a lot more respect in some of the younger fans' eyes, at least. I think some of the social media type fans, you know what I mean? And you want to know what? I got to give you props, Eric, too. That was a pretty good Kenny Wallace impersonation. If I closed my eyes, your voice is almost there. You work on that and it'll be really good. But how about your records? What's your records for the weekend?
My records, man, there's so many you could go with here. Like you could say the lightning delay, the red flags causing the brake rotor really was what was the records for a lot of people yesterday was the brake rotor situation. But I mean, I got to wreck Austin Dillon for what he said after the race about like the suspension to the 2-car. I don't know what he watched or what he's thinking, but this is exactly what I knew was going to happen and didn't want to see happen with these penalties and all this shit happening. Is every driver is now going to bitch and complain to try to get some other driver suspended for racing on the racetrack, and any little incident that these drivers have, they're going to be, check the data.
Yeah.
Look at this, just to try to screw somebody out of getting points and racing the next week. And, he was quick to say that, which was kind of shocking to me. It's a sign for me that is what he was looking for. That's what some of these drivers might be looking for now, is to possibly get other drivers maybe suspended. And, he didn't just say, like he got into me or this and that. Like, no, he called for the suspension within 3 words that came out of his mouth.
Yeah.
So this is the result of what NASCAR has already dug weeks and weeks ago. And I just think, hey, Austin Dillon, I don't know if you looked at it. If you didn't, I don't know if he retracted his statements yet or not. But
No.
I think Richard Childress even came out and said, he spun
It was
whatever.
payback
I'm like,
for something.
I don't agree with it. It's in my opinion from what I saw. I might be proven wrong with the data. But I'm basically wrecking the situation afterward, not basically like this is what might continue to happen. And I don't like that. I don't want to see drivers calling for suspensions every week now.
I'm retweeting up a storm at Bump the Letter and Run Pod. Follow us on Twitter. I retweeted the video that Matt sent of the Mikey LaJoy. And then I just retweeted the Austin Dillon clip. It was from the frontstretch.com, and it was actually sponsored by Pocono Raceway. Make sure you get your Pocono Raceway tickets for this summer's race. But I asked, do you think Austin Dillon is trying to game the system and get AC suspended? I hope we get some interaction with that, because I think it's interesting. Are these guys going to start trying to game the system and kind of, force it a little bit? Because I watched that clip a couple times of Austin, and it kind of looks like he moved down a little bit. I didn't see, Austin Cindric really try to hook him or anything. Matt, what were you saying?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute there. I didn't realize it. If you watch that video, because like I was looking to be devil's advocate there, and I couldn't, because if you watch the other cars in the video and you see where Austin is before the incident and where AC is before the incident, Austin's car is the one that moves. Like if you watch all the surroundings, it could look like it's AC that's coming down and clipping Austin. But if you really watch the surroundings, it's Austin's car that's the one moving. And whatever. I mean,
yeah, no, I think Austin Dillon cleared himself and he wasn't clear, Yes. And now they're pushing it on Austin Cindric. Now maybe there was some back and forth, and maybe it was payback for something. I'm not exactly sure, but Austin Dillon, what was Austin Cindric paying you back for? That's what I want to know.
To me, that move, that was happening all day long. What Matt said, Austin Dillon was trying to clear himself. And there were a lot of people that were throwing those bad, shitty blocks all race long to try to slow that momentum down because they knew clean air was king. So there were a lot of people throwing like, ooh, is he going to clear? Oh, and he gets in front of him and you make the other guy check up. So that was happening all day long. And I just think at that point, if anything, the 2-car just didn't lift. He might have known that Austin was going to come up, and you said, "I'm here. I'm staying here too." Like you're. And
that's his prerogative. Yeah, that's his prerogative.
Maybe earlier in the race, like he probably would have lifted, let the 3 get in front of him, and then they would have sorted it out after the restart.
Like Harvick Harvick and Logano, two veterans of the sport, early in the race, same thing, where they were kind of battling back and forth, and eventually, and they even pointed it out on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Harvick just let Joey go because that's a veteran move. It's way too early for us to be almost wrecking each other. Just go ahead, I'll get you later.
Yeah.
Instead of these young guys slowing everybody down. By those two being side by side, the top five were just driving, and they were getting out to lunch on those guys. Right. I think Harvick realized, hey, if we keep battling side by side, we could do this for 20 laps.
Right.
I'm going to get behind you. Let's catch the leaders, and we'll sort it out then. So,
we're slowing each other down battling,
Right.
Be more like Mark. Be like more like Mark Martin. Just let him go, and you'll get back there. Yep. He did it for years. So, whatchamacallit, my checkers and wreckers. I'm not giving it to Kyle Busch, although he definitely deserved it. He ran a great race, led 4 times for 121 laps. I'm giving it to Randall Burnett and the whole entire 8 crew because, and this might be a little bit petty of me, being a Tyler Reddick fan. The 8 car, it means a lot to my heart, And everyone's talking about how Kyle Busch is bringing RCR back. Kyle Busch is bringing RCR back. Well, guess who had 3 wins last season in the 8 car? It was Tyler Reddick and Randall Burnett. Who has 3 wins on the season right now? It's Kyle Busch and Randall Burnett. There is one factor that is consistent, and it is the team. And you can't talk about the rise of RCR without also talking about Randall Burnett. He gave them a Xfinity Series championship in 2019. He's given them multiple wins in the Cup Series since moving up with Tyler Reddick. And now he's given them multiple wins with Kyle Busch. And I just feel like more of the spotlight should be on Randall for really getting that program in, especially since we were just talking about his teammate Austin Dillon. I've been paying attention to Austin Dillon's career over the last couple of years. He goes through crew chiefs like you wouldn't believe it. He changes crew chief every year, if not multiple crew chiefs in a year. So if Randall could get it done in the 8 shop, why isn't the 3 shop in better spots? It's either the driver or the crew chief, and they keep trying different crew chiefs. So I think it's more the driver on that, and the RCR equipment is there. What do you guys think about that?
Well, Whitey, I know that you've always been saying like you're a huge fan of Randall Burnett, and he's proven that he's becoming an elite Cup level crew chief. I mean, like you just said, he's won 3 races with 2 different top tier talents, and then you said how that 8 car is near and dear to your heart, and it reminds me just really quick, if I could, something else that's with heart regulation. If you want to have a clean, healthy heart, you're going to want to make sure that your nacoduct is cleaned and checked out at all times.
Absolutely. Always. In fact, you should make a yearly checkup with your doctor to get your nacoduct levels checked. You son of a bitch.
I built all that up. I didn't hear a thing you said. From the moment you said near and dear to your heart, I was concocting that.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you looking out for my nacoduct this episode.
Yes.
All right. Anyways, my wreckers, brake failures.
We need to wrap this up.
We need to wrap it up. You know what? It's been a long weekend because we were busy, and man, today was a rough Monday for I know for Matt and myself too. Just a long day in general. I don't know about you, Eric, but you look like you were struggling too a little bit.
Oh, it's Monday for everybody here, man. It was a long one.
Anyways, it was longer than that race yesterday, and part of that reason is my wreckers because of the brake failures. Man, did we have a lot of brake failures, just killing the momentum of the race. And it's kind of just scary to see even one failure of brakes in a race. We see it at Pocono every couple of years or so, but to see 4 different failures from 2 different manufacturers in the same race, just a little scary. I know it's kind of a combination of, how many stops and starts we had, plus the general layout of the track where there's such long straightaways where I guess the brakes cool quicker than at most short tracks. I'm wondering, because for years we only went there in the Truck Series and those races are shorter, if we didn't see more brake failures in the Truck Series just because of the length of the race. Do you guys think that has anything to do with it too? Just the length of the Cup Series race versus a Truck Series race, where like you kind of burn through those breaks a little bit more.
I'm sure that doesn't help. Yeah.
I mean, they explained it like this, where Martinsville and Bristol, the rotor's constantly glowing.
Yeah.
They're constantly hot. They never cool down. At Gateway, the straightaways are long enough where it cools the rotor off. So almost every single straightaway you're going down, that rotor is heating and cooling, heating and cooling. You added those red flags, those cautions, and that even added more heat cycles to those brakes. So, yeah, I think it was a combination of a lot of things there.
Yeah, but that's honestly like I had a whole list of checkers that I could have gave this race, even though the race was a little on the boring side. I really couldn't think of many wreckers, to be honest with you. A lot of stuff was out of the hands of just NASCAR or the broadcasters in general, you know. So
yeah, I wrecked AD too because he took out the 47, which if he doesn't take the 47 out, my fantasy day is amazing. I might either win or at least top 3. And he was having such a good day.
He was having a great day.
And like he just the top 15s, like the top 7s that he's been having. And I think it was Kenny or Michael was joking with him, like, oh, his 7s. What's this with 7s, baby? And he was running 6th at the time. He's like, oh, maybe he could get better than that. And you know, he was having such a good day. And you know, he's really turned himself around in his racing career here as of late. And it was just a shame to see such a good day that Ricky was having get taken out by a dumb situation like that. So, oh, you know who else? I don't even know if this is a record, but I just popped in my head, and I feel like we have to talk about it.
What's that?
My teammate.
No, Gregson.
Please, somebody keep an eye on him.
Yeah,
and make sure that he is okay because this season, this new car, this transition. LMC is gonna kill this kid, dude.
Yeah,
yes.
No, for real.
Got that car, and he looked like he went 38 rounds with Mike Tyson, and it's just like he's defeated. It's June, and he's like, I can't wait for the off season to regroup. Like,
he's already talking about next year.
Yeah, he's like, oh, let's just go back to the drawing board and start over again with
We're only
Toyota.
halfway through the regular season.
Yeah, let alone the postseason. Oh my God!
Now, some people were speculating like the off weekend, maybe he was talking about, but man, I don't think so.
I think he wants the off season.
He's had more
off season.
Yeah, he's had more DNFs than he has finishes this year. I think it's just like. He is, I just feel so bad for him. And you could tell he's trying to stay positive as best as he can. I kind of relate to him that way where, you know, when you're feeling shitty and you're feeling down, but you don't want to be that guy that's always moping and sobbing in this. So you put that fucking smile on and you keep on going. And the kid went through a bowl cut. The kid went through getting punched in the face. The kid now has a mustache and got taken out. It's like this. He's trying everything.
It's like
in the
rookie
world.
hazing. It's like NASCAR's rookie hazing.
That was a vicious hit too when his brakes failed. Like he hit that wall hard.
Yeah, he had to take a little moment afterward before he even walked to the AM safety crew truck.
It's
and it
not
was
often they have to stop the race to fix the safer barrier.
Yeah, and.
Just thoughts and prayers. Just give him out there to Noah for a little bit. I think he needs them.
Go buy a Noah Gregson t-shirt off NASCARshop.com.
No, they only get like a percentage of that.
Well, at least he'll show some support. I don't know, man. It's the best I could think of. Yeah, he's struggling. I even texted you guys yesterday. I was like, Noah Gregson looks like he aged a decade in the last in the last like 3 weeks, or he's just having a rough time. Like he had that 5 o'clock shadow. He's got bags under his eyes. He's just
like he puts his hand through his hair, and it's just like he just looks like he has nothing left to say. Like he just like, how many more times can he get interviewed coming out of the medical center? Like what? Like I don't know what to say anymore.
I think I can't remember the exact wording, but he's like, "This shit sucks," or he's like, "There's something like that."
Everything was out of him. All of everything that he had in that body and that soul was just ripped out of him by this rookie season in that 42 car. And
I think those were his exact words. This shit sucks.
This shit sucks.
What do you want me to say?
You know what it reminds me of too, and this is going to be a weird comparison and a very timely reference for a TV show that came out in the early 90s. You guys ever watch The Wonder Years with Kevin Arnold? And you remember the dad in The Wonder Years? He's just that gruff, like, don't talk to me kind of dad. There's one episode where Kevin goes to work with his dad and sees all this shit his dad deals with all day long.
I know exactly that episode.
Yeah, and at the end of the episode, fucking Mr. Arnold comes walking in, unlooses his tire, grunts and goes into the living room. And then 2 steps later, Kevin comes in wearing his little tie, grunts and unloosens it and goes in. I feel like Noah Gregson is Kevin Arnold going to school with or going to work with his dad, and he's having a bad time. He's having a real bad time. Eric Jones needs to whip his kid into shape and get him thinking some positivity or something. I don't know.
They just need to do what we need to do. They need an off weekend, and they just need to slow down, hang out by a campfire, and relax. Go over to Notebook for what you're going to do at Toyota next year.
Yeah,
no one needs to go do that darkness retreat that Aaron Rodgers did. Go live in the woods for 4 days.
All right, boys, you have anything else to add to the race? I don't really feel like there was much to talk about, except if you listen to the show last week, Eric went back to back picking Ryan Blaney. He had himself a really good day. He led 3 times.
I had a shot, boys.
I thought you did too. He led for 3 times for 83 laps. Byron also led once for 30. Other than that, not much action up front. Some good battles in the back, but is there anything that stood out to you guys?
One more left.
What's that?
One more left.
Races with the old Fox on the broadcast.
Yep. Yeah, Fox broadcasts Sonoma. We take the off week, and NBC returns to Nashville, which also had a lot of brake failures a couple years ago. So be on the watch out for that. Fellas, before we can move on to Sonoma, though, we have to talk about the last place driver here on the Bumper Run podcast. Everyone loves to talk about the winner on a Monday one, Kyle Busch. We kind of talked about Kyle Busch, but there's lots of other stuff to talk about. But we also like to talk about the last place loser, and it was one Carson Hocevar, who was running 16th in his first Cup start with Spire Motorsports before a brake rotor exploded. So kind of coming full circle with everything we've been talking about with Corey LaJoie and the brake rotors exploding. Boys, what'd you guys think about Carson Hocevar? And is there a ghost in the distance? What was that?
No, I'll explain that afterwards. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was an awesome debut by him. I think there were a lot of people questioning, I don't think he's ready. Why is he getting the shot? Why are you pulling him right up there to the Cup level? And he was all smiles and giggly after that in that interview. He knew, even though he had that failure, he was running the race of his life. And he showed what he needed to show out there. And I think he made the best of the opportunity that he was given. And the guy that gave him that opportunity actually shit the bed. So full circle there in that whole situation.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, that's exactly what happened. Like, that's what happened yesterday. Carson Hocevar went out there and impressed the world in a Spire car, and Corey LaJoie just shit the bed. You know? He did. He did.
Never mind. Never mind. I've never shit the bed before, so I don't know what that looks like.
Well,
I love that phrase so much. I hear it all the time, and I'm like, shit the bed? That's a mess.
I have a story from Penn State, and it is a mess. But I'll tell you guys that story off air, but I'm not going to tell that one on air. So we have another race to look forward to.
Come back with me.
Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
I just want to say I wasn't drunk or anything. There was food poisoning involved. And the source of the food poisoning was either Long John Silver's or a gas station hoagie I had later on that night. So
It sounds like that story that you didn't want to say on air. You're kind of saying on air.
No, that's all I'll say on air is I got food poisoning, and it was a shitty situation for sure. Anyways, we're heading to wine country in Sonoma, California. Xfinity takes the track Saturday, 8 p.m. in the east, 5 p.m. in the west for the DoorDash 250 on FS1. So going to be a late start for us on Saturday. And then Cup on track Sunday, 3:30 for the Toyota Save Mart 350 on Fox. To go over our picks from last week, Eric told you to pick Ryan Blaney. He didn't win the race, but he did get you 50 points, and you came in first this week. I picked William Byron. He got me 40 points, so I picked second. And Matt, you picked Martin Truex Jr. He got you 39 points, so you pick first, I pick second, and Eric picks last since he was the winner. Boys, it's a road course. Who you thinking is going to come and win in wine country?
I'm not overthinking this one. I have two guys that I want to pick. It's a coin flip which one I believe is going to win the race. I believe the one that I don't take, one of you two will. I'm taking Tyler Reddick.
Okay.
I'm taking Tyler Reddick, but there's another guy. Eric, you're shaking your head no. There's another guy there that let's just say he has his amigos with him.
Yeah. Tough. So I obviously wanted to
I told you guys before who I'm picking. I was dead serious about it.
I heard you were gonna pick, and I'm playing him in fantasy, and I almost picked him too. But you already said you were going to, so I'm not gonna steal it from you. But I think it's a great pick, and I think it's an underdog one. I obviously wanted to pick my guy Tyler Reddick, saving him in fantasy for this race. I'm going an opposite direction though. He hasn't won on a road course in a long time.
Corey LaJoie.
Yeah, Corey LaJoie. No, he needs a win. He's on his second waiver for the playoffs. I'm wondering if the suspension will kick him in the ass and get him the win he needs. I'm going with Chase Elliott. I'm hoping for Matt's sake and all the Chase fans. Honestly, I don't even want to see Tyler Reddick win in Sonoma. I want to see Chase win to get everyone off the ledge. Who's in the number 9 camp? How about you, Eric? Who are you picking? Who's your underdog?
Well, I said it a few weeks ago that the Ford camp really doesn't have speed, but when you have the guys in the top 5, top 10 take each other out every week in the Chevy and Toyota camps, the Fords end up with great finishes. You saw what happened with Logano. Wasn't up front for a lot of the day, and then at the end of the race, there he is in the top 3, top 5. I just think that at this road course, I think it's going to get a little hairy between some of those good guys up front battling through, and there's going to be some egregious moves up front. And I think this driver that I'm going to pick is very clean. He'll keep his car under control and maybe not run top 5 all day, but he'll be there ready to pounce on the mistakes and the missed opportunities that these drivers we've seen up front in the races this year have. And I think he takes full advantage of it. And I am going with the 17 of Chris Buescher.
He finished second last year. It's a great pick. It is a great sleeper pick. I was thinking about Chris Buescher this morning on the way into work because
I'm pretty sure Sonoma, his last whatever starts at Sonoma, he's finished 7th or better.
Yeah. Awesome pick. Great sleeper. The only thing that concerns me, I've noticed a pattern with RFK. It's those guys run opposite to each other. So this week Buescher ran well, Keselowski was out. Last week Keselowski ran well, Buescher was out. So you gotta watch that. But I think it's a great pick. We will see. We are 15 races into the 2023 season, and we have 10 different winners: Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, William Byron, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, and Ryan Blaney. Could Christopher Buescher add his name to the list? Can Chase Elliott get a road course win and win his way into the playoffs? Or will Tyler Reddick get win number 2 on a road course this season? We will find out Sunday, 3:30 for the Toyota /Save Mart 350 on Fox, and we will break it on down for you right here on the Bumper Run Podcast Monday night. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The Bump and Run. There it is.